Celeb Savant is a career retrospective type interview focusing on singers, actors, and industry experts. Join Barrett Edelstein now as he dives into the entertainment world.
Sketchy Bongo is a hit-making DJ and producer from South Africa. He has created timeless hits like Back to the Beach with Shakana and Kyle Deutsch, Let You Know, Cold Shoulder with Lockenville, Love Me in the Dark, and All About It with Jimmy Nevis. Sketchy is also a DJ and also known for his energetic live performances. Up next on Celeb Savant, we've got Sketchy Bongo. Where in the world are you and how are you doing?
I am doing amazing. I'm here in Dubai at the moment. And yeah, things are going well.
How, where, what, and what was inspiration for the stage name Sketchy Bongo? Where does that come from?
Actually, it was something that I came up with by searching different words on Google and finding something that had no search results. So it was more like SEO, like search engine optimization. So I was thinking about all these things, and I just put some random words together, and it sounded interesting, something different, you know?
Do you still wear the mask, or is that not a thing anymore?
No, not anymore. I recently did a show. My last show I did in Cape Town this year. And I did wear a mask, and that was where I decided I'm not wearing a mask anymore because it was so hot. And yeah, I'm not in my 20s anymore. So like it just exhausted me and it was uncomfortable. And I said, yeah, I'm done with this mask thing. Even though it's really cool for the brand, I still might keep it as like an icon for the brand, but I don't think I'm going to be wearing it anytime soon.
But what was the initial inspiration for you to think, okay, I want to have this as part of the brand?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, it was basically I was shooting a music video with another artist called Sheen Skies. We had a creative collective called the Wolf Pack in Durban. And basically in this music video, we had a ski mask and I put it on and I wore it in the music video and I kept the ski mask. And I decided I'm going to wear it every time that I'm on stage. It was a stage presence. Like, you know, you're putting it on. It's like, it puts you into character, right?
Yeah.
It's like putting on your character when you're going to perform. So
okay,
that's kind of why I kept it.
Okay, so now let's rewind. At what age, whether as a child or teenager, did you think to yourself, okay, I want to be in this creative music production world? And how did that journey progress?
Yeah, I started playing classical piano when I was 9 years old. So I went for lessons. We had a piano in the house and my dad's, and I used to fiddle around with it. And my dad was like, okay, let's send you for lessons. So I started learning piano. Then I started listening to a lot of hip hop music and I was like, how do these beats get made on these tracks, right? So I started doing a bit of research and figuring out different ways of recording beats, made some beats, met some friends at school like A1 Wolf. And we started recording stuff when I was in high school. And yeah, I just progressed from there. I started recording rock music, started producing music for TV shows. And then eventually I started DJing. And when I started DJing, I went more electronic with my sound. I went more pop. Started working with artists like Shakana and Kyle Deutsch and like hip hop acts like Nasty C and people like that. And it just progressed from there.
Are you still creating music for television?
No, I get a lot of sync deals. So a lot of our music does get a lot of sync placements in South Africa and also in some other countries. But no, not actively creating music for TV right now.
How do you create a song?
That's the interesting one because I think it's different every single time. And I think most musicians would say that. It depends. Sometimes I go in where I'm just starting with some chords, putting down the chords, and I always feed off other musicians, right? So if I'm working with an artist, a singer, maybe they'll sing something. Maybe it's not even words, it's just a melody, and that might trigger something. Other times I might already have like a beat that I've made and come into studio and just play it, and we start vibing and writing. I also really enjoy the writing process. So writing lyrics and all that. I'm very involved when it comes to writing lyrics, because sometimes the words actually make the musicality sound different, right? Choosing a different word can make something sound different, but it all completely, it depends on how the session is going. I like to have it natural. I like organic feel of studio sessions.
You mentioned that you collaborated with a lot of artists. When you're collaborating with an artist that you have not as yet collaborated with, does it take you guys a moment to settle in, get to know each other, or do you just say, okay, let's just dive straight in?
I don't just dive straight. I think I used to when I was younger, but what I've started doing now, because I basically will have a coffee or a meal or something with somebody just to have a conversation. I find food generally is a good like connector. So you can just find out a bit about the person. It kind of puts them at ease. It puts me at ease. We get to know each other. We get to know what the person likes, what they don't like, what is their creative vibe like on the day. And it just relaxes people. Once you've done like that kind of meet and greet kind of situation, then we'll start playing something. And sometimes nothing comes in the first session. It doesn't, I don't try to force music. I like to just see what happens. Most of the time, I say 90% of the time, we get something recorded. But yeah, that's really how it goes. I don't really just jump straight into recording anymore. That's changed. I think I just learned that you get a better result when people feel more relaxed around you.
Okay, so you referenced the lyrics. I'm not sure if you are aware of NLP. So NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. This is the way people process information. Now, there's a subsection within that topic called processing skills. Now, each of us have a dominant, secondary, and tertiary. Dominance means we'll be in it most of the day. Secondary, maybe a couple of hours. Tertiary, maybe half an hour, if at all. Now, something kicks in to each of us at a young age, which allows us to step into this dominant type. Now, there are three types. There are visual people. Now, visual process information through pictures. So as I'm speaking now, a visual person will be seeing a picture in their mind. Auditory people, it's about the words, the sentences, the paragraphs. So they'll hear the word, interpret the word, put it into the sentence, interpret the sentence, and so forth. Then we've got kinesthetic. So kinesthetic people, they interpret the information through the body language, the tone of voice, the energy, the emotion, the feeling, all those type of characteristics. Now, focusing specifically on music, because it may differ in other aspects in your life. So when you're listening to a completed song of your own or of others, is it about the lyrics? Is it about the feeling? Or is it about the picture?
It's definitely about the feeling.
Okay.
100%. Every time it's about the feeling, because in the song, you could be saying something with language and mean something completely different because of the feeling or emotion that is coming through the way that you are saying those words or the music that you're putting those words on. When it comes to music, feeling is number one. Words come second, I would say. But I mean, you could even, when it comes to music, you could have no words in the song, right? And it could still speak volumes. So yeah, it's always the feeling.
You referenced the words and the interpretation of the song. What I find fascinating is so many people, mostly who are not in the industry, when they listen to music, it's not about the words because they're naturally not audio or auditory. And often I'll be speaking to someone and I'll be saying to them, did you hear the words of the song? Do they know what the words are? And they're like, oh, no, it's just a party song. For example, two songs come to mind. Chandelier by Sia. I mean, that song is about her when she was an alcoholic and she's trying to stay sober and going out and partying. Another song's top of mind is that Gypsy Woman by Crystal Waters. You know the one, la-da-dee, la-da-da. And it's all about a homeless person. And people are actually shocked and horrified to like, oh, I didn't even realize this song is about that. Now, when you have your interpretations and feelings and messages in your songs, is it quite important for you, for people to get it, or is it your knowledge to know, okay, they'll interpret it the way they experience it, and when they do that, will be at their own pace?
I think early on, I didn't really think about that. We made music. It used to get played on the radio, and that was that. People used to love it. And then more recently, that's changed a bit. We did the track Let You Know. Shikana and I did a track called Let You Know. And a lot of people, they're on TikTok now and they're like, I only realize what the lyrics mean now, right? When they're listening to it, maybe they're not in high school anymore when the song came out. Maybe now they're in their 20s or in their 30s or whatever it is. And they're understanding like that song is a lot deeper than what they used to just jam to on the radio. Now, especially with my new projects, I do have the urge to want to explain what's going on. And I might do more of that. I might do that as like a content piece or something that I haven't done it yet. I do want to explain it, but also there's the artist in me where it's like the art should speak for itself, let it be interpreted how it wants. But there's some really cool stories to some of these songs, So I do want some of those stories to be told because I think it could be interesting for listeners to understand.
I know it's all secretive in your world. I have been hearing some of the new stuff. What can you tell us is coming up?
Right now, I've just recently released a new album. It could be a mixtape. I'm calling it an album, but it's like a mixtape because it's just, I recorded that song really quickly. I went to South Africa and basically for like a week, I was in Joburg, in Cape Town and in Durban. And I just recorded really quickly these songs with whoever was coming through to the studio. And that project's out. There's a lot of new stuff. I'm working on a lot of stuff with Lockenville because Andrew and myself and Brian, we just organically get along and we're working on a whole lot of different things. So music is one of those things. There's new music from Kyle. There's new music from Shekinah that's actually being worked on right now. Yeah, there's a few different things. But to be honest, I'm not as busy as I used to be. When it comes to music, like I used to be producing for literally everyone in South Africa at one stage. Now I'm kind of I'm focusing on a few releases. I'm focusing on what I want to put out, and I'm not doing too much right now.
So at that period of time when you were just producing for everyone, was it a situation of obviously being grateful for the opportunities and all the doors that are opening in and opening up? Was there often a situation where you were just saying yes all the time and sometimes you felt like saying no? Or was it just a situation of, yes, bring it all in?
I didn't ever feel like saying no. It was a different stage in life, Like I was touring, I was playing like almost every second day somewhere in South Africa or outside of the country. I was in it, that was full time for me. Now full time is not just Sketchy Bongo. So I think that shift happened, like obviously like during the pandemic, I started working at a technology company and a lot of things started shifting in how I prioritize things. But for me, I loved it. I would work with anyone because I knew that there'd be something that I could get out of them no matter what. And now it's kind of changed where I'm just working on what I want to work on. There are a lot of opportunities I do say no to right now, just because I don't have the time that I used to have.
That's because you're working on other projects beside the music, obviously?
Yeah, so it's all different things that I'm working on that are not specifically Sketchy Bongo or
Yes.
music. Yeah,
I love me a CD. In South Africa, as we know, we don't have access because of music, Look and Listen, etc., closing down. I love the journey of the choice, the unpacking, the booklets, listening to song from wine to whatever, the journey of the whole piece of art. I'm not sure if you are or not aware, massive uptick of physical around the world. UK, Europe, USA.
Like I'm a huge collector. I said I'm a huge collector of vinyl and cassettes.
2 years ago in the UK, 5.9 million vinyls, the biggest since 1990. Last year, also in the UK, there's a basket of products that they gauge exchanges on. There needs to be a high number every day for a product to be in the basket. And because of the upsurge of CDs again, CDs are now back in the basket. And the research is showing it's the teenagers, the younger kids diving into this world, not necessarily the older nostalgic people. Then we have Spotify and all these DSPs. Knowing that you're a physical collector, what are your observations of the landscape at the moment?
I think physical music is very important in the music industry, especially where the music is predominantly being listened to on streaming platforms and the payout rate is extremely low. I think for fans, it's a way to appreciate the music more. I think for artists, it's a way for them to showcase their art even better in something that a listener can actually own and physically hold. It's super important. This is the physical art. This is like when you compare it to like visual art. If you're buying a painting or something like that, it's a completely different experience to just looking at a picture on the internet. So I think it's really important, and I hope that it continues to grow, and I hope the marketplace evolves further so that it's not just people buying like the biggest artists in the world on vinyl, but also smaller artists are being appreciated and they're able to sell physical products at scale and through marketplaces that are accessible to the general public. I think that's the other thing. The price point, like I told you, I collect a lot of vinyl. Vinyl's really expensive. It's expensive because of the quantity is really low that can be produced globally. So even bigger artists don't have that many quantity. Then you have limited editions. It becomes a commodity. That's problematic. But there needs to be a point where these things are accessible. I like that cassettes are coming back in because cassettes are much cheaper than vinyl or CDs. The quality is not that great, but you can put in a booklet, you can listen to it, and it gives you that kind of different feel of playing something off tape that's analog. It sounds different, it's mastered differently, and it's a different experience for users that enjoy an artist's music and want to hear it in a different form. So I hope it continues to grow, and I hope that the marketplace evolves and becomes something that's accessible to everyone.
It's interesting you said about the painting and looking on the internet. Another artist a few weeks ago, they described it as going into a shop every day, trying on your favorite jacket, putting it back on the hanger, then leaving. That's what listening on Spotify is compared to actually buying the jacket. Now, but also, don't you feel that there needs to be more of an education piece for the general, in inverted commas, public who listen to music? They maybe go to a concert every now and then. They mainly listen on DSPs. For example, I teach spinning classes, and it was before two of my classes, 3 weeks before, I was doing a focus group. And I said to the two groups of people, the first group was of 10, the second group was of 8. I said to them, if an artist has had 100 million streams, how much money do they think have the artist has received in their pocket? The first group said $50 million. The second group said $1 million. And I said, actually, well, no, it's more like 1,000 or 2,000. And they were shocked and horrified. They didn't realize to what extent the pay is so low from those elements. Yeah. A lot of artists say they use it as their business card to allow them to go and tour. Yeah. But what are your thoughts around all of this?
I think the business card argument is viable. It is important. There are people that, as I said, the physical product is expensive. So you can't expect everyone to be buying the physical product. I see streaming in a similar way as I see social media. So it's a way to see it's the billboard for your product, even though they can experience the full product on a streaming platform. There needs to be a story told by the artist to get people to want to buy the physical product. So it's not just, I did this thing we bring back to the artwork, the physical. Nobody's going to just buy a physical piece of art without the story behind it. There's a whole thing like with the Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa is valuable because it was stolen, or I don't know the whole story, but there's a whole story behind it that made it valuable. There needs to be more storytelling by artists, and that storytelling can be put into a quality product. It's not just about, slapping it together and just like, here's the thing on a cassette, or here's the thing on vinyl. To sell physical product, people need to have an emotional bond to it. I'll tell you, a lot of the music that I'm buying on vinyl, I didn't listen to first on vinyl. I listened to it on streaming platforms, or I listened to the MP3 or whatever it was, or the CD, even though I could stream it on Spotify, is because I feel some kind of connection to that artist. There's some kind of story that was told with that piece of art, and maybe it affected me, or it made me think of a moment in my time. There needs to be something like that makes you want to go out and get that piece of art. And the higher the price point is of that art, the better the story has to be, right?
Yeah.
So the vinyl that I buy, I'm very selective over the vinyl that I buy. I don't just buy anything. If say I just like the song, like I don't just buy the vinyl because I've only got X amount of money. Yeah. I'm going to sell it on whichever piece of art affected me. I live in Dubai, so physical music is actually really accessible here. So we have a lot of stores. It's a really big marketplace in Dubai, in London, in New York. It's becoming really big and accessible. And one of the things that's selling a lot now is cassettes, and cassettes are significantly cheaper than vinyl. So when it comes to cassettes, I'm more likely to buy something just like, oh, I saw it, I'll buy this at the till. Like they sell cassettes now at music shops at the till, and it's a good thing. It's a really good thing. And I'm also seeing a lot more indie artists, obviously not South African artists just yet, but I'm seeing a lot of indie artists from Japan and indie artists from Europe, the States, Brazil even, where their content, or not even content, their product is being sold in marketplaces like Dubai, and people are buying it. If it's on cassette, and I've never heard of this band, but it looks got a really cool artwork, or it's been packaged in a cool way, I might just buy it because it's something cool. Let me just pick it up. I like art,
I love this game. I know if I had to ask you this question tomorrow, the next day, or the next day, I know your answer will be different every time. Top of mind, not favorite. I know, because there's millions of them. If you had to push play now to 5 other artists want to finish this conversation, who would those artists be?
Outcast, I know that right now because I was listening to it. I was listening to The Love Below, like literally just now. So I'm probably I am going to listen to this Outcast after this. I would listen to Yashna, who's a Durban artist. She makes like R&B and Amapiano. She's on my new project. She just dropped a new project, and I just started listening to it, so I need to finish that off. Who else would I be listening to? Oh, I recorded some demos with an Arabic artist today. His name is Le Josh, so you can search for him, L-E Josh. He's an independent Arabic artist that I was recording with today, and I'm going to go listen to some of the demos that we were recording. I'll be listening to some Michael Jackson, because that was also something that I was listening to this morning. I was actually listening to the Bad album. I was listening to the drums on that album. There's some really interesting drum programming on that. And then I would probably... I'd probably be tired by this point. I don't know what I'd be listening to. I'm gonna say something random. Yeah, I'll be listening to Mafiki Zolo. That's who I'll be listening to. Very interesting mix, actually. I'm surprised myself.
You said you did a show in Cape Town. Are you going to be doing more shows or during this coming year? Or is it more about releasing and producing and working on your other projects?
I did that one show in Cape Town because I wanted some content. So I'm very much about like making content. So I advertised it. I said, I'm doing this one show and this might be the last show I do for a while. And yeah, right now there's no real plans to do shows. I'm mainly focused on just recording music. I definitely am interested in going back to doing shows, but I need some new music first. I just need to do studio before I get too much into doing the shows.
The podcast is listened to throughout the world. As the final message, what would you like to say?
I would say that human art is very important. I see that there's a lot of people, there's a lot of AI music being created, a lot of AI art. Mm-hmm. I think artists don't need to be scared of that. I think artists need to just be authentic, be yourself. Your art is going to shine through. There will always be people that will value other humans and their human experience and human art. So don't let AI make you scared or anything. Just make sure you are making the best art you possibly can. And to everyone that maybe doesn't make music, if you support artists and you enjoy their music, go to their shows, buy their merchandise, do what you can to support artists, because it's really important for human culture and it's really important for humankind.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Celeb Savant. Please follow Barrett on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Celeb Savant. That's CelebSavant.